Okay, I'm seeing the dots. Can you hear me? Does it sound good? Or does it sound echoey? Okay, it sounds like I'm talking into this road and not the mic from the. Oh, yeah. Wow, pretty fast to get across the continent and ocean. The delay is only a couple seconds. Let me mute this. And then I'll dramatically roll up the thing at Okay. All right. Happy Friday. Welcome to the live stream. In keeping with the live stream tradition, as people are trickling in, we give the weather report. Now it's as a tribute to David Lynch, who used to do the same on one of the local radio stations here. So the weather report is I wore a down summit coat to work this morning at 4:30 or 5 a.m. And then I wore it at 7:30 a.m. to go get avocado toast down the street. So it's pretty chilly, but we're kind of soft here in Los Angeles, so it's not that cold. All right. So this is how it works. I make an announcement on Thursday that there'll be a live stream on Friday, and then the questions in the comments section under the live stream announcement, the Thursday announcement, I read those questions chronological order from first come, first serve. So if you're early with the questions, you're more likely to get it read and answered. And I try to get through all of them, and I try to keep it under an hour. Okay, so first one is not easy. The first one is, what's on your bucket list? Anything you're ticking off this year? You know, one of my favorite YouTubers is Natalie Lynn, and she made a video this year called I think it might be called something like When Your Dreams or When Dreams Become Memories. And so what happens is, you know, we're kind of in this country bred to be dreamers and to go after it. And some of us are very blessed and have the ability and the luck to achieve like one after another. And Werner Herzog, I think, refers to this. No. Sorry. Wes Blank refers to this. Les Blank refers to this phenomenon as the burden of dreams. And you just keep feeding it and keep feeding it. So, you know, you're living dreams and but you're not dreaming them a lot of times. And so I don't know what my bucket list stuff is, because I know there are things that like, anything is possible, okay, but it comes at a cost. So it's extremely unlikely that I'll ever race in and finish the Dakar rally. Extremely unlikable. Carlos Sainz Sr. won it at 70 something, so it's not impossible, but I haven't been a lifelong racer. I've raced once off-road, so probably not going to do that, but that was one. That's kind of a dream deferred. Bucket list stuff. I kind of want to do like a motorcycle tour with my son in like Vietnam, Cambodia. I'd like to do that. I'd like to take my family on a bicycle trip. There's this bicycle tour in, I think it's in Hiroshima Prefecture, called the 8 Bridges. And there's like certain places that you stay in and you get a guide. I'd like to do that with my family, maybe next year, if there isn't World War broken out and it's not totally unpredictable. Everything else is just kind of family, like ordinary family stuff. You know, I don't really have one, but you know, and like performance stuff. Like I want to make a certain amount of money. Like that's on my bucket list. And then I want to like at some point switch over to a different medium or career or something. That's on there. But you know, I'm 50. I just turned 50. And when you turn 50, if you're younger than 50, then you don't know what you're talking about. When you're talking about being old and stuff, you have no idea what you're talking about. But when you're 50, like and this also happens when you're 40, like a lot of doors close. Like can't do that, can't join the military, can't join special forces, lots of that. So yeah, I don't know. I've done enough. I'm happy. Now it's just kind of for my kids. I want stuff for my kids. How do you okay, so from Michael, how do you determine what type of glue to use when doing a fix? Crazy glue, epoxy, hot glue, etc. A lot of it is time and strength. Strength is number one. What is the strongest bond? What will give me the strongest, most durable, long-lasting bond? And then the second thing is how long is it going to take? Because sometimes like tight bond, which is a form like it's a wood glue, is stronger than most wood. It's stronger than all the wood that I use. It's stronger than pine. It's so strong, but it's like it takes a long time to dry. So that's just something. If I'm gluing something that's legacy, that's wood, and I'm clamping it and I don't need it for a while, I'll go with tight bond. If not, maybe I'll go with crazy glue, or maybe I'll go with hot glue. For that same wooden project. Another one is like crazy glue has very specific applications. Like the thing it is best for is fixing clean breaks in like porcelain. That's the best use for crazy glue. Like I use crazy glue to fix this and it failed, and I use crazy glue again. Because the crazy glue was like around the break, the fracture. There's glass in here. I couldn't get it in. And so the first fix was that, but there was no crazy glue gluing the frame to itself. There was just crazy glue around the fracture. And then the second time it failed, I could get into the little crazy glue mold of like plastic that was, it's gold gilded, and I could dab some crazy glue gel in there, and then so now I've got a bond here, and I've got like a kind of a clamp around it, all made out of crazy glue. Glue stick for the glue stick for paper stuff. So it's basically time, and then hot glue hates water. Hot glue, don't use hot glue if it's going to get wet. It doesn't work. And then like the best glue, and it's like the only glue my mother uses, it's called like shoe goo, but it's all these different, they have all different names for it, but it's the same glue. It's like a latex adhesive. They call it goop. They call it shoe goo. They call it like E2900 or something. There's some weird name for it. And like, that's if you have 2 days to let it dry and you can apply it perfectly. And that's what I used to seal the front wheel of my motorcycle, which is a spoked wheel, which means you can't use tubeless tires because the air will seep out through the holes that the spokes go into. But you can take that stuff, that shoe goo, and you have to build a jig, and you have to do like the first half one day and then roll the thing and do the second half another day. And then you have to let them like dry for 2 days. And then you have to do it again. And that's never failed. It's held air. It's like I've changed tires with it, and that is permanent. Thank God. You also have to get a special valve stem that's like air sealed, that like lives in your rim. So those are some examples, but it's basically speed and like bond strength is what I had. Okay. How did you get into doing an advertisement for a video for J. Crew? So my good friend Andy Spade, he's an advertising guy, and he's started out that way, like out of college, and he's like one of the greats of advertising. And he explained it to me one day. He was talking about his career. He was like, I started out as an accounts manager. He was like, and then I became like a creative, and then I became a creative director. And then I started Kate Spade and became the client. He was like, so I was the client, the creative director, and then the creative all the way down. And like Kate Spade, the reason, I think Andy is the reason why. I mean, you can't take Kate away from it either, but there's lots of awesome, in the 90s, there were lots of awesome little fashion companies, and Kate Spade just occupied that realm. And that was Andy set the tone of the advertising wit, and there was like a darkness to it. So Andy, after he and his wife sold Kate Spade, he started an advertising firm with a partner. God, I can't believe I know this guy so well and I can't remember his name. I think his name's also. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. Called Partners and Spade. And he was pioneering with internet stuff. He was pioneering. He had my brother and I do Kate Spade when they still owned the company. He had my brother and I do Kate Spade little videos, just for like the internet. And this is when no one was doing this. This is 2004. And when he had Partners in Spade, the internet's getting bigger and bigger, so he could get more and more budgets. And then he had a very long relationship with Mickey Drexler, I think he was the CEO of J. Crew. It's a very small, intimate little world there. It's small, it's not those big brands that can afford to pay for the big expensive campaigns and so forth. There's not many of them, and they're not adversarial. They're friends. Like there's a woman, Jenna Lyons, who was the Kate Spades. I think she was like the creative director of the company. And the reason I said Kate Spades, I meant J. Crew. Jenna Lyons was the creative director of J. Crew. I don't know if those are all right. I don't know if all those words are right, but essentially she's the reason J. Crew has extremely good colors is because Jenna Lyons, and I think this is true. I don't know if this is fact, but there are people with extra cones in their eyeballs that can see colors more vividly. And there's people who have not enough. I might be having this biology wrong, by the way. And those people are called colorblind, but she's like the opposite of colorblind. And when I would make stuff and we would do color correction, she would come in, or she would look at it because she could perceive the colors and she could direct the color correction. But so Andy did, he would get little J. Crew gigs and he could deliver really good, really original, because he was friends with all the artists and all the, he's an art collector and has great relationships and he's a creative in his soul. So he has a certain taste, a very specific point of view. And so Casey and I were in his little orbit, and he supported a lot of our work. He supported a lot of projects. Kate Spade, the company did. Andy Spade, the company did. Partners in Spade, the company did. And he did a brand still around called Sleepy Jones. And then they did Francis Valentine, and I did stuff for them. But yeah, it's Andy. He could see super high value, high delivery. He could still get good budgets, and he could make a little bit of money off of the J. Crew budget. And then I could make money off of the budget that he could give me. And he knew I was like a from scratch person and I didn't need a gigantic crew and all that mania. But we did have a little crew and we did that pool thing. We had Chris Messina shoot it. And like, I was watching something. Oh, I was watching one of the new films that Good Films, who did Tiger King and Chimp Crazy. They have some new, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it. They have some new stuff coming out, and Chris Messina was the DP on some of it. And I'm watching this thing, like, I'm watching like privately with those guys. I'm watching this thing and I'm like, is that Chris Messina? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, he shot this for me. Because he's like one of the really good New York cinematographers. But we all came up together. He worked on the early, Safdie movies too. So incidentally, the first Josh Safdie movie, it was called Pleasure of Being Robbed. And it was Josh's first feature film, and it went to Cannes, Directors Fortnight at Cannes. That Andy Spade and Kate Spade, they like produced that. They financed that film. I'm in that film too. Yay. But they've just always been, that's how I started with J. Crew. Sorry, these are all very long answers, but that's what you're here for. Okay. This is from Ivan. 2 questions if you have time. What are you reading lately, and when do you get time make for it? And 2, what is your daily routine? Seems like you're up really early. I used to be a night owl. Since having kids, I love having a few hours myself in the morning. Okay, so I'm reading, I read books, and then if they don't grab me, I just put them down. But I'm reading this book by, the author's name is Jim Webb. I think he was like a senator or congressman from Virginia, and it's called Born Fighting, about the Scots-Irish, because that's genetically, that's what I'm descended from, is the Scots-Irish. So I'm like, what am I made of here? It's just like very violent, crazy people. So I'm reading that. I kind of put that down, and then I started reading this book called Swiss Watching, about the Swiss, just about Switzerland and the Swiss people. It's written by a British guy. It's a little cute for me, but I need the information, and I need it from like kind of a Anglo-American point of view. Like this is an English colony, and we sort of have a similar point of view of the British people. So I'm reading those two things right now. And then daily routine, I'm up between 3 and 4:30, sometimes 5 if I'm lucky. I can't really sleep past 4:10, 4:15 unless I stay up late at night. So I go to bed at 8 p.m., wake up between 3 o'clock and 4 something. And then I have this like injury, this like back injury that's like blah, blah, blah. So I haven't been able to run in a few months, but I used to run like 4 miles a day and do weights every other day. And so I'm doing neither of those things. But I, shower and all that, dishwasher, unload it, put the clothes and then it's all in the dark basically. And then I drive to the studio. It's about 15 minutes away from my house. Open the studio, meditation, and then start writing or editing, depending where I am in the process. And then until about 2, I can maintain that. If I'm having a high energy, good, strong day, I can go until about 2. And then at 2, my brain just collapses and I'll start working on something with my hands that's for the project that I'm working on, hopefully. Or I'll just like procrastinate by walking around the studio and getting to the weeds with like dialing in little tiny shit all over the place, but try to keep it all within the paradigm so I can get some use out of it, like as far as a video is concerned. So that's basically my routine. So there's some guys just saying thank you to me and to each other. Jeffrey says, I tried to understand your process, but the screenshots of your manuscript were a little confusing. 1, do you start with writing a script and then move to voiceover? Of course. Then after voiceover, create the shot list. Then do the shoot. Yeah, I write the script. Oh, I see what you're asking. Okay. So I write the script, then I write the shot list. Then I shoot the shot list. Then I read the voiceover into the machine. And then I try to marry the two. But it changes a little bit because sometimes I'm doing chunks of this. Like I have a beginning point and an end point, but I don't have the verbatim script written in between the two of them. And I'm just doing the chunks because things are like wishy-washy and they'll develop if the more and more vested the more and more I am into the production, the more that they'll like mature. So for this particular project I'm working on this month is like that. I'm just like chipping away at section, like I'm shooting a bunch that has a voiceover for it, then editing that chunk, and then now I'm at this sequence, and I'm going to write the words, then write the shot list under the words, then shoot the shot list, then record the voiceover, then plug it all in so that it's harmonious, music, etc. Go on to the next. That's how that one's going. Do you decide ahead of what will be talking head and what will be voiceover? Do you record the entire voiceover and then swap in talking head segments as you see fit? Just remove the voiceover, which would be the same script. It varies. Sometimes if I'm being lazy, I'll just do talking head because it's less production, or if I don't have enough time, I do the talking head because it's less production. And then sometimes the talking head isn't written and I'm just kind of ranting and just kind of talking and thinking out loud, but that's a heavier editing burden and a heavier like media. You bring it into the timeline, it's this long if you're going on for 20 minutes and you're cutting into sections that are this big and this thing's this long. So they all have their trade-offs. So it varies, but I try to have a plan and I try to have an end. Yeah, I got to have an ending before I start because that's what you're going towards. You got to have the destination before I start shooting. I mean, Keith, hey Van, I teach academic writing for international students and would like to create the thematic unit of the process of creating the creative process. Who would be some resources aside from yourself that could be used to have these students integrate in their exploration of this process, both writing and other media? Like, okay, so absolute required reading is The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. That is absolute required reading. And then the other absolute required reading is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. It's the guy who wrote Bagger Vance. It's called The War of Art. And that's just sort of the test of, are you up for this job? The problem with this job is that it's so cool. And everybody, I'm going to be me. We had like a very rich kid come visit us, multi-millionaire's kid come visit us. And he was just like, yeah, probably going to be like an actor, maybe a writer or something. We're thinking about moving here. It's like, all right, probably be fine because you're very rich. But it should be kind of a compulsion. It should be a problem. It should kind of be a problem. It should be a thing that kind of like your compulsion to do this fucking mad, crazy thing. Your compulsion to do that should sort of destroy your life. It kind of will destroy your life. And you'll have to build another kind of life. And then you'll have to be with people who understand what the life is. And it's very hard to especially find like partners that will understand, because it just looks like any other job. It's like, no, you started out at Tom Sachs, you had that job, right? And then you went and did some work, and then you did a project with your brother, and that was that job. And then such and such and it went to HBO and such and such and such and such, and that's it. And it's not that. It's not that. It's you're in a forest, you have a Swiss Army knife, and you have to carve a road and a house, right? And like into the woods as you're going through, trying to get to whatever, your ambition is. So I don't know. I think it's really important that a good person to listen, that kids vet themselves and be like, am I really up to this? And a lot of kids will just think that it's talent, and they'll be like, I'm not talented enough. Shunk. And they'll just quit. Good. We want to get rid of those people, because talent is how much interest you have in it, how much you're addicted to it. That's what talent is. It's the interest in the thing. And then genius is just like, you find it. It's such a insane addiction that you find the thing when you're 5 years old and you can't stop doing it. And when you do stop, you probably die, like Amy Winehouse or any of those people who did, Jimi Hendrix or whatever. Although I don't think he stopped. He's probably died with a guitar in his hand. But I think for teachers really need to understand that way, 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 way too much emphasis on the arts in this civilization. Way too much. It's for billionaires' children. That's it. Especially in this era. This ain't 2000. This ain't 1998. Okay, it's 2025. You can't just go get a $400 a month apartment in New York City right now. It's impossible. You can't get a $400 apartment in Quebec City or, Iowa City. It's just, there's way too much encouragement in the arts. It should be a hobby. It should be a nice way of you to explore the world. It should be a nice way of you to relax and do your thing. But as far as like becoming a, becoming a professional, like whatever YouTuber, it's for billionaires' kids. And it's for just the people who don't need guidance because they're going to do it anyway. And they're going to chop their way through the forest with a Swiss Army knife. All right. So, but those two books are great. War of Art, Stephen Pressfield, and Rick Rubin, The Creative Act. And they both say the same thing in those books. Like, you're probably not cut out for this. Don't worry about it. Do it anyway. Okay, Joel asks, what is one skill, hobby, or interest you haven't been able to share on this channel? Oh, I'm a good cook, but I don't care. Not interested. I think I'm a really good cook. And my friend Greg Gersten, like, I made him a grilled cheese sandwich, and I just put it in front of him, and he was like, he just took his phone out and he took pictures of it. He was like, this is unbelievable. And I'm just like, no, that's a grilled cheese sandwich. And then when I think about it, no, I'm a good cook. I can make it look beautiful. I can make it taste great. I can invent stuff with very few ingredients. I have certain tastes. Presentation is just all matter, but I just find food extremely boring and you just consume it. So that's something that I don't share on this table. Although I guess it's not a hobby. It's a skill, but it's not a hobby or an interest. I guess it's just, yeah. So Chris asks, curious if you have any jackknives hanging around. How long you used your original one you made years ago? You mean like folding knives? Like, to me, when I was a kid, a jackknife was like a pocket knife, like that unfolded. I have a bunch. I have those open L's. Like, people give me those. Like my friend Alex Kalman, when I left New York, he gave me an open L knife, and he said when his father fled Hungary when he was little, that was all he had, and he moved to New York and built like a fucking awesome, his name is Tibor Kalman. He has an incredible book. He did all of the Talking Heads covers. He's like a designer. He was like I guess you would say graphic designer, but his company was called I don't know what his company was called, but it's a famous like design firm, and they were amazing. Anyway, that was his dad. He had an open L jackknife that was all he had when he came from Hungary when he was a kid. And Alex bought me the same one when I moved to LA. God bless him. Very thoughtful guy. Have you used your original one you made years ago? Oh, I think you're thinking of the Swiss Army knife with the keys in it, right? Jackknife hack or something, or Swiss keys. It's the original one you used years ago. I lost the original one, and I don't have that car anymore that it started. Or maybe I gave it away. I don't know. But they started making. I took a Swiss Army knife. I took the blades out. I put all my keys in it. I put 4 of my keys in it. So the key to my bike, key to my truck, maybe a key to my studio, something like that. And then I made a video for the promotion for the Inisa Brothers show. And then they started making, some companies just copy that idea, and you can get like, they're basically jackknives that you take apart and put your keys in and then screw them back together. And it's like a thing. And I felt like, oh, that's cool. I beat them to that. So I used that original one until I got rid of the car. So a year or something. Okay. Jeffrey Stevens asks, one more thing. How do you handle the manual focus of the Leica? Is it a process to make sure you'll be in focus? I thought Leica only has manual focus. It has automatic focus. It's not that good. It has that facial recognition. It's not that good. And I just I do tape measure and do it that way, so it's locked perfect, or because it has the graduations on the lens, or I have it set so that when you turn the focus ring, it automatically blows up, so you can see whether or not it's in focus. And then I have it, I don't know what it's called, histogram, something like that. Not the chart thing, but I have it so that it turns red when it's really in sharp focus. So that's how I do it. That's how I do it. It's kind of a problem. It's not as good as the Sony. It doesn't have good like robot eyes, but I don't care because it's like the perfect blend of digital and analog. And the analog world's kind of a pain in the ass. That's why there's so much digital stuff out there. Oscar asks, what's your opinion of forcing yourself to be creative? For example, at the moment, I don't feel very inspired to create, but I still push myself to do stuff. Am I doing more harm than good? I have mixed feelings about this. I think rest is part of discipline. I think being lazy. I think like I love hearing Fran Lebowitz, whom I love. She's not productive at all. She's like very not prolific as far as like new writing is concerned, because that's her primary talent, arguably. But she's like, I am the laziest person in the world. But she does all these speaking engagements. Like when she gets broke, she does all these speaking engagements. She said when she was looking for a new apartment, she needed an apartment to accommodate her books. She has thousands and thousands of books. And she's like, when the brokers showed me, it was 3 times what I was able to afford. And she got it. And then she just like worked really hard, but she has these vast amounts. It's a different style. I think for making videos on YouTube, the skills are a little bit perishable, and I think you got to just keep going regular, be doing some part of the process, being writing or editing or shooting or even reading or building. It should just sort of be in part of the flow. You should be, if you're like a naturally and truly creative person, you just can't stop yourself, really. If you're in a dentist office, you'll start rearranging the fucking magazines or whatever, so I kind of feel like that's okay to a certain extent, but you sort of always want to be tangentially working within your medium. You want to be doing things that will feed your medium, I think. But Rick Rubin would probably disagree with me. If you read that Rick Rubin book, he's just like, when it's ready to be made, you'll make it. So I don't know. I go back and forth on it too. Like, I think I'm a little burned out right now, but I've been taking it real easy. I've been doing like 1 video a month for YouTube, like 1 sponsored video a month for YouTube. And it's allowed me to focus more on my personal life. It hasn't fed back into my creativity yet, but maybe it will. And I haven't had any breakthroughs. That's how you get breakthroughs and do big major changes and stuff, is by having breaks. And it's probably why I decided to do the channel, is I was just doing work for it. It was all creative work though, just for other people. And so I had like that open available space to like come up with some breakthrough paradigm shift for myself to start a channel. You're not doing more harm to push yourself. When in doubt, push yourself. You don't know whether to do it or not do it. Just push yourself and make bad shit all the time. That's fine. Just don't force it upon other people. Don't ever make anyone watch your experimental film. Never. I've been trying to get into journaling, and I'd love to hear if it's something you do. Any tips from your experience would be incredibly valuable. I should be more disciplined about it. I used to be more disciplined about it. I have some up there, and like there are some years that are this thick with 8.5 inch by 11 inch typed pages. And then there's like last year, which is this thick, and it's inversely proportional to I don't know if that's true. It seems like it's inversely proportional to how much like video stuff I'm doing. I'm not writing enough. The whole basis should be writing. The whole basis should start with journaling and stuff. Like I wrote yesterday, but that was probably the first time. And I know that was the first time in the month of March. No, sorry. In the month of March or April that I had written anything. So I don't know, if you're not making videos and writing all this stuff all the time. I'm constantly writing and fixing and writing. And so, but that's no excuse. I should be doing it every day. You read like, there's a great Jean Cocteau, who was sort of a Renaissance man in the kind of the first half of the 20th century. He's a filmmaker, writer. He was a painter. He was a poet. He did plays. He was just amazing. And he had, I I think he made The Grand Illusion, was like his famous film that he made. And he had these diaries that you can buy, and they're just incredible. And you're like, and he's writing a lot of the diaries, all the stuff he has to do. It's like, I'm meeting with friggin' Hemingway to go blah, blah, blah. And I'm meeting with Cecil DeMille to do da, 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 da. And like, no, no, no. And it's like, and he has such perfect taste. And it's that old, just disciplined brain. But you see, like, how the hell did you have time to write this thing? And you're doing all that other stuff. And you sat down and write this thing. And it's like, well, no YouTube, no phone. That's how. Lots of train rides. Okay, Lucas, I got these waxed Kevlar bootlaces off Amazon. Very nice upgrade. Thought you and my spirited man brothers and sisters. Thought of you and my spirited brothers and sisters here. Whoa. I'll have to check that out. Kevlar. Yeah, because the regular ones just kind of wear out after not long enough. Khalil asks, is there a topic you've struggled to translate into video, something you wanted to share but can't quite work out? Yes, there's an abandoned project. Oh, what was it? And it's just like, it's like the folders there. It says like part, because I do by parts. That's how I keep them in order. Like I'm working on part 236 right now. So it's like part 179 or something. What was it? What was I trying to do? And I just couldn't write it. I just couldn't get it written. And I had like tons of notes, and I had outline, and I just couldn't get it. Oh, I can't remember what it was. That's a good question. But there's a couple of those. There's one about the Palisades fire that, like, I had all these memories of the Palisades, and I thought that some of my memories were actually footage, which happens a lot. And so I went back into the footage, and it was too fragmented. I was like, oh my God, because I would do the Palisades with my son on Saturdays or Sundays and on our bikes. And I have this thing about not shooting everything all the time, which I shouldn't do that. I really don't have business doing that. My brother Casey is really, really great about always just shooting all the time and keeping it all organized and everything. And I'm lazier, and I just take breaks from it. And you can justify it, blah, blah, living the experience, blah, blah, blah. But then afterwards, I'm just like, fuck, man, I never shot. The thing about the Palisades. So this is an abandoned project. I was going to do this thing called the Palisades Fire. It was going to be like my love letter to the Palisades. And I was going to talk about, in the Palisades, it's a very, very, very rich, not very, 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 but it's the working rich. Okay. That's what the average house, I think, is like $8 million. Okay. And this is a plain ass modest house neighborhood. These houses, if they were in Akron, Ohio, would be $186,000 houses. They're $8 million. These aren't big mansions, blah, blah, blah. These are just little houses with little yards next to each other. And during the, just to give an indication of what the neighborhood was like, but these are rich people. During the pandemic, there were all these little sidewalk tableaus for the people of the neighborhood and the people wandering through the neighborhood to play with when they were outside. So there was one house that had a rope swing that swung out over. There was a bunch of rope swings. There's one house that had a rope swing that swung out over the road. That same house had just piles of hockey pucks, like 100 pucks. So X and I, my son and I, we would play with those hockey. He was little. We would play with those hockey pucks for an hour and make up all kinds of games and sculptures and stuff. That's one house. One house had a no shit in the sidewalk, like sidewalk where you walk, and then there's that green area where all the dogs shit. In that green area where all the dogs shit, a no shit pumpkin patch with like dozens of pumpkins in it. One house had a little mini golf course where you could play little mini golf. One house had a hammock. There are more and more and more. There are multiple swings. And I'm really upset that I didn't shoot all of that because it's all gone now. And it kind of put like what these people were like, because they were rich, but they weren't the inherited. They're still alive. I mean, they're not the inherited lazy, entitled a-hole rich, the snobby loser rich, like the people where I'm from are like. They're the working rich, man. They're the immigrants that came and somehow made it and ground it out. A lot of them. And the entertainment people that you love, people from Saturday Night Live that you love, people that ground it out on that show, or that ground it out. And like, these are the people that were the Palisades, and the embodiment was this way that they treated their neighborhood as a neighborhood. And I went through and looked for the shots, and like, I don't have the mini golf. I never shot it because the people who own the mini golf, they came out, and I didn't feel comfortable just shooting these people. I could have asked permission, and then it's like, well, then what's it for? And blah, 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 and whatever. So I just enjoyed it. And so that's a project I might not ever be able to make. I mean, I could do it, but it'll take a lot more work than if I had just shot the stuff, the Palisades stuff. There's more cool Palisades. Oh, basketball hoops all over the place with basketballs where they let you play like dead ends that if you had a bike, you could go around and get to like different parts of the neighborhood. It was just such a fucking awesome place, the Palisades. I'll try to remember the other one that I gave up on. It was some like high concept thing. Okay. Gareth asks, my wife recently noticed I watch your videos and couldn't understand what exactly it was all about. And it got me thinking. I love the work you do, the videos, the style, the aesthetic, but I don't quite know how to describe it all succinctly. Through your work, I discovered Tom Sachs and other artists and creators who follow a similar vein, but I still can't put my finger on what it is, and it fascinates me. I wondered how you would help describe this style/approach that you do. Tom Sachs calls it bricolage. And that's sort of like, I don't know if you remember this TV show called MacGyver or the A-Team, and they'd get in this situation. And the only way to get out of it was by like taking a whole room full of junk and making like a tank, or like making some kind of Rube Goldberg thing. But it's essentially this process of maximum return with minimal resources, or kind of making the thing that you want just with what you have. It's like a form of innovation. I think that's a lot of what it's about. I did this thing a few years ago where I asked all the patrons, but I might have asked the main YouTube subscribers. This might have been like the only time I read the comments on YouTube. I was like, what is my channel about? I think I asked the patrons, actually. It's like, what is my channel about? And then just leave in the comments. And my two favorite, one of them was, it's about thinking with your hands. And then one of them was, it's Gen X Yankee Workshop. But if you don't know what the New Yankee Workshop is, which was a show about making furniture on PBS, then that's lost on you. If I remember, when people ask me, I say, it's Mr. Rogers for adults. And then people are like, what do you mean? And then I just give examples of certain episodes. But I don't really know either. Somebody smart is going to come up with a name for what it is, but I haven't figured it out, So I don't know. It's hard. I have trouble with it too. I have trouble describing it. It's hard when you're trying to do new things, or you just you don't have the talent to do the established things well. So you make up your own thing to do, and you just keep doing that thing. It's hard to describe to the people what that new thing is. Like, how would you describe the show 60 Minutes to like the Walter Cronkite audience? Because they just want to make it in their head. They want to associate it. It's like, not really. It's not that. So I don't know. I also like to say, and all the stuff I would compare it to, it just doesn't exist anymore, or it's like obscure. Like the short films that the Eames made, the Eames studio, Charles and Ray Eames, they made short films for like IBM and Polaroid. I think they're called industrial films. It's kind of like that, but nobody knows what that is. Kind of a little bit like Andy Rooney, who used to have this little opinion kind of column at the end of 60 Minutes on TV, where he'd be like, how come pill bottles have so much cotton in the top of them? I mean, look at all this cotton. And then he'd go so deep dive into the thing that, like, 90 seconds in, you're in like ancient Cairo and the cotton fields and blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of like that, Andy Rooney. But I don't know. It's very hard to come up with some succinct thing because it's so weird. Some of your fixes, while effective, might, this is from Colin. Some of your fixes, while effective, might get a bit cumbersome to work with the long term. Puzzle piece, desk connector, etc. Do you ever get frustrated with the solutions you've created after you've worked with them for a while? I think I do. Yeah, but they're just like the puzzle piece that was for a video because I wanted to make a video about puzzles. And so maybe that was a little contrived. But then I just keep building to make that work better because like the puzzle wasn't exactly even. So I had to make these shims for the desk. And then the other desk wasn't exactly even. So I had to make these special shims. It just kind of feeds and feeds. And then before you know it, it's a whole little like tableau of craziness that I think I kind of like. So the Japanese, they have this concept called Kaizen, and it's just this mentality of just constantly improving. Like you're allowed to at Toyota, there's a button at all the stations. You can stop the entire production line if you discover an improvement that'll make the building of the car more efficient. I don't really get why. I don't get why you have to stop the fucking production line to do that. But my friends Ariel Schulman and Henry Juice, aka Supermarché, made a video about the Toyota production system, which is an actual like manufacturing process that many, many, many companies besides Toyota use, called the Toyota production system. And Toyota, during Hurricane Sandy, there was all of these goods coming in that were needed to be distributed to the people in Breezy Point in Rockaway. And it was like one of the tasks was a box that had like an apple juice box sandwich, but for the workers. It had like 10 things in it. And so before Toyota got there, it took like, and this sounds ridiculous, but you got to think the apples are in Susie's car and she's parked over on West 29th Road, but there's a roadblock, right? The boxes, they're here somewhere. The boxes are here somewhere. It was like that for like 8 things. And so the first round, and they did it like a time, they averaged, and it was like 12 minutes to fill the box. And then they had some like people from Toyota come and build a system for this distribution. And they were getting it down to like, they went from like 12 seconds to like 90 seconds to like, they had the whole thing streamlined, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of learned how to do that I was a pot washer, which in an industrial kitchen. And this kitchen was so big. It was at this place called the Williamsburg Lodge, which is in Colonial Williamsburg. They did a huge, but it wasn't like Colonial Williamsburg isn't 100% colonial. It's like they have iPhones and friggin' smartwatches and stuff there. And then you have the Colonial Williamsburg part that's like people making bricks and and little spectacles and stuff. But then you have like the hotels and stuff, and they have running water and they have kitchens and food and conveyor belts for the dishwasher. Anyway, this is such a big kitchen that there was one man, me, whose job was just to wash pots and pans, for thousands of meals. And the thing I loved about that job, I was like 21, was I got to design the whole flow of the kitchen and where the chefs would put this stuff. This was the soaking bin sink. This was the cleaning sink. This is like the soap sink. This is the sterilization sink. This is the drying. And it was that Kaizen process, just always coming up with new techniques. And that's sort of what the whole thing is. Some of the shit, yeah, it's just way easier. Go on Amazon, buy a new one. Or you can make a tape dispenser, and it'll always be a little bit problematic, but blah, blah, blah. So that's it. Yeah. It's cumbersome to work with long-term. Kind of. Stick shift. Probably a little. Was curious about from Brandon, was curious about your thoughts in developing disaster preparedness, packouts, etc. Any resources you use? When you move to Topanga, you get a manual that tells you all the stuff. And they also distribute these radios, they're for free, that are like they're weather emergency radios, and they get one channel. They have one channel, and you keep batteries in them because if the power goes out, you have no communications. Because the phones now are tied to the internet. So stupid. There's not like a separate landline where we live. So, and then preparedness is just sort of, just kind of comes with experience because, we'd have been evacuated like 3 times. And then my preparedness was, I just go from worst case scenario and try to work my way back and kind of make sure I have all of those systems. Worst case scenario is the power went out at midnight. It's 4:00 in the morning. And obviously, this goes without saying, it can always be worse. No matter how much you imagine it, there could be a swarm of monkeys that got out of a swarm of 500 gorillas and chimpanzees that got out of the zoo that are also in this thing, and they all have AIDS and they all have knives. Okay. It can always get worse. But like the worst case scenario that I can imagine that's probable is like power went out at midnight. Nobody noticed. It's 4:00 in the morning. The flames are at the door. Somebody fleeing Topanga. There's only 2 ways out. There's only like 1 way out now. Broken axle on their trailer. It's gridlock traffic, and the flames are coming for you and your 1-year-old and your 6-year-old. And I have a angle grinder in the back of the Land Cruiser. I have 3 motorcycles ready to go. I have a backpack that I can put my 1-year-old in and ride my motorcycle. Either I can pick for my electric motorcycle or my gas motorcycle. Isabel has a gas motorcycle. She can put X on the front, or vice versa. She can wear the backpack. X has a motorcycle. I mean, that's desperate. If it comes to that, that's bad. If he has to ride his little bike out of there, I know the routes, the fire road routes out of if the traffic is just blah, blah, blah. I know a couple fire road routes out of Topanga into the valley, out of Topanga to the ocean. And then everything is just sort of ready. It's just like ready. My bike is on my truck right now. The battery is charged, and I'm kind of wherever that truck is. I have a chainsaw in the back of the Tacoma that lives in a box that's weatherproof, that has all of the chainsaw gear. I have this. You can buy at Home Depot. You can buy pre-mixed 2-stroke chainsaw gasoline that has a special preservative so that it lasts for years, and you don't have to worry about it because gasoline deteriorates, especially when it has oil mixed in it. So my chainsaw has never been fueled, never been used, but I have the bar oil. I have everything ready to go. So I should eventually use it just to use it, but I know how to use a chainsaw, blah, blah, blah. And that was when they called in the winds. They said the winds this was before the fires, and they closed the school, and they said that we're going to be shutting down power because the winds are going to be so severe. And I just imagined fire, blocked road, tree in the road. If only I had a chainsaw, and then I drove the Tacoma to and from work during that period. But I grew up, it was hurricanes where I grew up. And so there was the hurricane preparedness stuff. And that September 11th in New York, after that was kind of a wake up call, and just puts you in that mindset of like, no one's in charge. No one's in charge. You're in charge. There's another book that I started reading called No One's Coming to Save You by like one of these like Green Berets or something. And it's just this mentality. It's very American mentality where it's just like, you got to get the thing done. You've got to be self-sufficient and you got to, and it's like, so I don't know. I don't know where the training comes from. Probably paranoia. Okay. So from Vincent, Wes Anderson's characters fascinate me, particularly because they often feel interconnected. For example, Adrian Brody's character in the Grand Budapest Hotel could easily be imagined as the same person in the French Dispatch. Yeah, I agree. Have you ever thought about writing fiction or experimenting with fiction on your channel? Yes, I've done it. I've tried. I've thought about. I don't understand. I kind of understand why fiction exists. And I think fiction is just so that you can change the names so that you don't get sued. And I'm not kidding. I think that that's what it is. So that the king doesn't cut your fucking head off. But it's also its own like art. And I don't know what translates. And I don't know. I'm kind of locked into this thing, I think. And I'm not interested in it. And like you go into a bookstore and you're like, really? Like, and this bookstore has like 0.001% of all the books that have ever been written in it. And it's wall to wall. Have you ever taken your book collection and it's like crate after crate after crate and hundreds of pounds of books, and then you put it on the bookshelf and it's like this many books? Like there's, I don't know. I don't care about making a feature film. I don't care about that. That's just a big business. That's just like, I don't care. I don't care about making an independent, cool film. They made all the great ones in the 90s. I don't have anything new to say. The guy like Yorgos Lanthimos and like Wes Anderson and stuff make all of the stuff that I would just try to make because they're just so great. So I'm not really interested. But I am interested in writing nonfiction stuff. Ryan asks, how have you gone about curating your portfolio over the years to best represent your work? I only do it in an emergency. Now that there's so much out there, I don't need to. And people, if there's job opportunities or something, I'm pretty lazy and not ambitious in that respect. So it's people having seen my work or heard through trusted acquaintances that, oh, you would like this person's work. So I don't have a portfolio. I just have what's out there. And then I have a press thing that I wrote, I don't know, 2012, like that I'll add to. That's like, Van Neistat is based in blah, blah, blah. And he in 2000, blah, blah, blah. I have that and then some photos, but that's just kind of it. Patrick asks, have you ever thought about doing a workshop for your Patreon fans? I'd absolutely love to take a workshop with you on filmmaking or how to nurture your creativity. Would you ever consider putting together a creative workshop in person? That would be amazing. Yes. I think that will probably be the next thing. I can't figure out how to do it. And make a profit and keep it as a viable business. And it's like, well, dude, you could just get grants from Google, man. They have like trillions of dollars. Just call the dude at Google and he'll just like send you $1 million like tomorrow. But no, it's not that. It's like you're beholden to all this stuff. And then you're like raising money and grant money and all this stuff. So figuring out the like and also you want the power. You want it to be self-sustaining. You want it to go. So, and I don't really want to build a like from scratch. I'm not from scratch. I don't mind, but I don't want to do poor man's version. Like, oh, I started Tate's Cookies with a toaster oven in my tiny little apartment. Like, I've already done that for decades upon decades. I'm not interested in doing that. I'm interested in doing it the other way, where I have a cool story that I show to some investors or whatever, venture capitalists, I don't know, and be like, this is what I think. This is this. And here is my past work. And this will be the physical manifestation of this. My salary on this job is $100,000 a month. That's how it starts. And the school or whatever costs this and this facility and blah, blah, blah. And yes, we'll start out small and develop, but I don't want to do it enough to start out like making Tate's cookies in a toaster oven in my little apartment. But yes, it's sort of the logical conclusion is like people are losing manual skills. And sort of, I think my mission, like what I'm here to do, and there's like only kind of 2 other people who are doing this that I know of, or 3, is I want to make like craft, and not just hipster craft. I mean, like driving a bulldozer craft. I want to make it kind of high status. I wanted there to be a status, like a high status cool factor associated with working with your hands. And Mike Rowe and Adam Carolla, and to some extent Tom Sachs, they're the like champions of the same thoughts. And Temple Grandin saved the shop class, but I think we got to repackage it as like the Hermes. I don't know if you know about the Hermes like craftsman program that they have. Hermes is the best brand in the world. Hermes makes the best things that human beings make. Nobody makes anything better than Hermes. Nothing. Not Ferrari, not Lamborghini, not Elon Musk, not Rolex, not Patek Philippe. They make bags that cost $500,000 because that's what it takes to make those bags, and their system is incredible. And that's a high status, high quality making with your hands thing. And with this, one of the things that we've lost, these things, like there's a lot of mixed opinions about the tariffs. Almost everyone says they're terrible. Almost everyone thinks they're terrible. And the thing that people come back to a lot is that it's the consumer, and this makes sense, that the consumer loses because everything's more expensive. But to me, people are just buying more garbage. Like maybe something will happen where you have to buy things that are more expensive and higher quality. I understand they're taking the same products and just adding 25% to them, and that hasn't happened yet. But there's, I watched a video where Chevy's building the V8s now so that they have like an electronic or electrical oil pump that fails and destroys the engine. And it was a perfect engine, and it had a passive oil pump mechanism that was just a function of the engine, and they were indestructible and lasted forever. And now they make them so that they last just as long as the warranty, and then they self-destruct. And we need to get away from that. And we need people to be comfortable fixing and repairing and so forth. And I don't know. But I would love a school that I wasn't super hands-on with, but like kind of perpetuated that idea of like just like what it does, the educational value of working with your hands, the spiritual value of working with your hands. You've loved visiting Mexico with your family in the past. With these tariff tensions brewing up, will you ease up on your out of country? Absolutely. I'm not going to Mexico anytime soon. I think it's going to get super dangerous. Yeah, it's like I'm thinking about doing a movie about this, but about like things are cooking. This is not a stable world that we're living in. I would be careful about. And I'm a person who's been all over the world. I've been overland Mexico. During cartel shit, and I've been held at gunpoint in Mexico. And I had been told by people, like State Department people, do not go to Mexico. And I've gone anyway with absolutely no problems. I've driven thousands of miles up and down through Mexico. I'm not like a fearful, paranoid person, blah, 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 blah. But I live a couple hours from Mexico. I see things in the United States of America, like with my eyes. And, that fourth turning stuff, I don't know. He was right about 6 or 7 or 8 things. I don't think he's going to be wrong about the next couple things that are coming down the pipe. And think about if you were traveling during the first couple weeks of COVID and you got stranded because all of the airlines, the whole freaking thing was shut down, and you got stranded in between two nice places in a crap place. What are you going to do? And that's just COVID. What happens if they shut any attack we're going to experience is going to be electricity or communications or both. Can't do anything. What are you going to do? So I mean, having said that, I am scheduled to go to Mexico in June. I do have a trip planned, but that's just me, no family. I'm taking a plane, but no, I can't do the family overland thing until this stuff chills out, because the cartels being agitated is not, I don't think it makes it safe. I think it's scary. And we're in between this, there's this just civil war, and there's in Mexico between the cartel and the non-cartel. And I go on and on about this stuff, but it's a little, I don't want to, because I'm not a State Department official. I'm a YouTuber. Just a nice thank you from Nathaniel. Daniel asks, do you have any strong feelings about pens? I see a lot of pencils in your videos. I would think you'd be the guy well, you know what the thing is I'm left-handed. And when you're left-handed, you write, your ink path is along your hand path. And unless you have a ballpoint pen, that ink never really dries, and your hand goes right across and gets ballpoint pen ink all over there. And then you go to your friend's atelier and he has a $50,000 armchair, and you put your hand down to get up, and you've just ruined a $50,000 armchair. And then the other kind of pens, the ink is, they leak. I've tried the nib pens. Those are a disaster. I do have a pen that I write checks with that my uncle gave me. It's this very nice, like, cross pen. It's really heavy, and it's like written, and it's like big, and it's 18 karat gold plated, and it has this like cartridge special thing that you have to order that's expensive, and it goes in. That's nice. I like that pen, but it lives in a cup here, and I just use it for writing checks. And then wherever I'm at a place where I have to fill things out, like a passport office or the DMV, I just use whatever the pens are that they have there. And then there's a pen built in an emergency. There's a pen built into my Leatherman that's blue ink. So that's my thing with pens. Pencils are waterproof, and they're not that messy. You can clean them out of the $50,000 armchair more easily. Okay. David, crazy thing, it's only been 6 weeks since your intense experience with the LA fires. Does it feel like forever ago or like yesterday? Anything you'd have done differently? Have your thoughts on what caused fires changed at all? You had originally talked about homeless encampments, but most of what I've read recently blames power lines. How are you feeling about LA now? Those fires broke my heart. Those fires were, to me, the embodiment of the delusion, the fantasy of the citizens and the leadership of this place. I will say that I was impressed by the Angelinos, like the rank and file Angelinos like me. Like when there were evacuations and stuff, it was very orderly. There was no horn bumping. There were beeping. There was no speeding. People let each other merge, even though that was super scary. You could see the fires and there was traffic, blah, blah, blah. I was very impressed by that. But the policies and everything, I don't know that they have conclusive. I haven't really been following the power lines stuff. And why the fuck are the power lines above ground? Stupids. Why are you that dumb? I mean, I could just go on. This is a painful thing. This broke my heart. LA broke my heart. Those fires broke my heart. I'm leaving. We're probably leaving. And this was the greatest place. And then the thing that people said about it that I would defend against, oh, but the, Angelinos, they're so late, the Los Angeles is so fake. It's so blah, blah, blah. All that shit was laid bare during those fires, because that's true. And then we had, the firefighters, and those people were fucking amazing. And people from all over the place, all over the world came to help us to save this city. I don't see much gratitude. I don't see much thanks. I don't see much honor in that. I was talking, or Isabel was talking to the rabbi and the rabbi's wife up the street, and she was like, everyone just forgets when after the fires, everyone just forgets, and that's why they keep happening. I didn't do anything. I wouldn't change anything that I did. I did what anything you'd have done differently. No, I don't think so. Not really. I would try to have behaved better, but I'm always trying to behave better. I was a little like frazzled, and like it was very terrifying and stressful. No, I think what caused the fires is incompetence, arrogance, hubris, corruption. Whether it was those power lines, what the fuck are the power lines? Why do we have power lines? This state has infinite money. This state is the 5th richest country in the world. We have unlimited money, but we have extremely limited competence and extremely limited will. And they don't have my road open. It's a road. Human beings have been building roads for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And people say this, and it's scary when people say this, and it's weird, but if this was, and people are like, well, they can move there then, blah, 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 blah. But we used to be this. If this was China, that road would have been open in 18 hours. But they're going to milk it because they know they got 100 million last time for a little mudslide. They got 100 million from the feds to bulldoze mud out of the way. I could have done it with 100 grand and like 2 guys. So they're just going to leave that road closed, and they're going to keep going after the feds. Give us more money, give us more money, give us more money. And there's just it's not New York. New York's full of will. New York during the New York City Marathon, it's 26 miles, right? It goes through all 5 boroughs. New York is not big. New York's a tiny little thing. Okay. The fires here were like 3 or 4 Manhattans. Okay. But there's like kind of the same number of people. And after this is during the competent Bloomberg administration, granted. But after the New York City Marathon, where there's 850 trillion paper cups from all of the runners on every friggin' street along the road, everywhere, there's wrappers from the thing, there's clothes that people shed. 24 hours later, it's immaculate. You would have no idea there was a marathon there. They build like a city in Central Park for like the high rollers. They secure it with the military because it's a high value target or whatever, soft target. 48 hours, Bloomberg. And I want to shake the hand, and this person deserves a medal. Whoever the person was, might have been Giuliani. I don't know. Some genius in New York City, some genius figured out to put snow plows on the garbage trucks when it snows. How simple. How not easy. You got to outfit everything, blah, blah, blah. How smart. Chains and snowplows on the garbage trucks, because the garbage trucks go down every single street in New York. So they just put genius. If it was California, if we got snow here, there would be 4 snowplow trucks. Okay. And they would have to drive next to each other, and the plows would link up together. They would fit 20% of the roads. And then you would have to wait a month while they outfitted a new style of, and then this guy gets this money. Anyway, I don't know. That's like, I'm sorry, it's a very long rant, but that's how I'm feeling about LA right now. It used to be the greatest city in the world, and it is no longer. DCOM asks, I'm so sorry. I'm only getting like, I'm not going to make it through this. I'll go for 15 more minutes. Okay. Greetings from the Valley. Do you storyboard your shots, or how do you approach your shot framing and lighting? Do you play with the ISO or f-stop? Yes, I play with the ISO and f-stop. Both, and the shutter speed I don't mess. I leave it on 1/50th. And I don't storyboard, but I do write a description of the shot. So I'll write, hand removes bolt, and then they're numbered, and then that's 14, and then 15 is close up of hand removing bolt, and then just my brain automatically storyboards. I think I have to go in reverse. I have to put words to the storyboard that's in my native to my brain, so I see it, and then I write it down so I can remember, because that's just going to turn into the picture as soon as I read it. It's my brain's going to be the picture, and then I just imitate that picture with the camera, which I've been using cameras for so long. It's just a very tedious chore. It's like loading a dishwasher. And that's why my stuff isn't exposed perfectly, and it kind of sometimes it looks all fucked up. I'm not trying to do anything cool. I'm just not an artist when it comes to the camera, like a real camera person, just style, not me. I'm just trying to get the shape of it and not be offensive with the exposure. What's the story of those artworks of novels typed and pasted onto a large sheet? How many are there, and where are they now? I did a whole video about those. I think the story's in the video. They're in storage now, and I think there's about 5 of them. Yeah. What's my favorite animal? Human beings. I'm not an animal person, although I am an object visualizer, and I am naturally inclined to interact with animals. I have a natural affinity. It's like cooking. It's one of those things that I just don't. My brother Dean is like an animal genius, but I don't really care, and I think I'm especially disgusted by how Americans treat their dogs like better than they treat people. There's a $10 million property down the street from my house for sale, and it's currently a dog and there's a lot of these around here. It's like a dog retreat, like a luxury retreat for dogs, like where you leave your dog when you go on vacation. Stupid. What was the last beautiful thing you saw? Something that stopped you in your tracks. I was walking in Calabasas, and I don't know what the blossom is called, but there was just a tree that had been pruned back to just sticks, and then the blossoms were just starting to bud, and they were like this purple fuchsia color, and they were coming out. It was so incredible. It looked like when they show you the the colorized electron microscope imagery or something of like a cell or like a disease or something. It looked like that, but in real life, and it was so fucking beautiful. That was like yesterday I saw that. I'm wondering if you've ever read Let My People Go Surfing, the book about running Patagonia. Is it like if it's like a coffee table book with beautiful pictures? I'm sure I've I live in Los Angeles. I'm sure I've thumbed through it. But I've seen it on bookshelves and stuff. It doesn't stand out to me. In a philosophical sense, you and Yvon Chouinard align in some ways, and he also does. That's a huge. It says, in a philosophical sense, you and Yvon Chouinard align in some ways, and he also drives a Toyota. That is a huge compliment. Thank you. Because Yvon Chouinard is the founder of Patagonia, the clothing company, and he spends almost all that money on buying up the actual Patagonia in South America and preserving it. And he's just like a climber, and that's like a rock climber, and that's what he does, and that's what he loves. He's a mountaineer, and he's a real visionary, and those products are wonderful. and they have a lifetime guarantee, and you can have an old ass Patagonia jacket from the 60s that you found in a thrift shop, and you can bring it in and be like, this just doesn't live up to my expectations. And they will be like, pick out we have this is similar, go ahead, it's yours. Because I know people who've worked there, because those things are, I think they're called puppies when they come back. I don't know the lingo, but the people who work there get to get the vintage stuff that you've returned. They get to, like, some of it, I think they resell depending on what shape it's in. And that's a new program, but it used to be. So the employees are just trained. It's like a big part of their training. It's just like, oh, no. Yeah, that's fine. Go pick out whatever you want. It's like, oh my God. I got like the forest green original, that thick down puffy jacket that they stopped making in 91. And he just went and got the new one. So anyway, that's Patagonia. That's how everything, that's how cars should be. I mean, they just stand behind it. BMW does not. They won't service anything older than 2015. I'm pretty sure. For motorcycles, I think 10 years. It might be 15 years. I might have it wrong. It might be, if it's older than 15 years, they don't service it. They don't do the parts anymore. Fuck you. A motorcycle is not that complicated of a gadget. Okay. Just your favorite movies from various stages of your life? Ooh, that's a good one from Tyler. My first favorite movie was probably Footloose. My second favorite movie was probably, unless I have the order backwards, which I might, was probably E.T. And then it was probably Empire Strikes Back. And then it was probably, I mean, Lucas and Spielberg owned childhood movies for me. And then it was probably like in 5th grade, it was Empire of the Sun. And then, geez, in high school, I don't know. It was like a dark period. What? I don't even know what movies was I into. It was hard to get movies. It was probably like Pee-wee's Big Adventure or something, which is a masterpiece. College, like Dazed and Confused. I don't know. It's hard, man. I don't really remember. I think my favorite movie right now is Come On, Come On by Mike Mills. And it's the premise is it's Joaquin Phoenix, and he's like he is my age, and he's kind of chubby, and he plays like an NPR reporter, and he's making this sort of like a radio show or a podcast about children talking about just the world. And this all happens within like the first 5 minutes of the movies. I'm not giving anything away. It's like the trailer. And his sister, who's played by Gabby Hoffman, who's great. She has like a 9-year-old, and the dad is mentally ill. And so she has to go take care of the dad, the 9-year-old's dad, her like husband. And the uncle, Joaquin Phoenix, has to take care of this kid who's like 9. And the kid that they cast, they say old souls, all that stuff. This kid is a miracle. Like, what is this kid? This kid is incredible. And it's Joaquin Phoenix, who's, sorry, love him or hate him, he's a genius. And this kid, and it's so great. It's just so great. Because I'm an uncle as well, and I'm also a father, and it's about kind of both of those things. It's just so fucking great. And it's in the New York. That was my like last New York, like the end of my New York was, a lot of it was in Chinatown by the Manhattan Bridge. It's just people, that was like the cheap neighborhood at the time. And so a lot of people were there, and a lot of the restaurants that were great were there, and like real authentic stuff was there. And it was very familiar, and it was nice. And that was one of the few places where you weren't really crammed. Ironically, because it's Chinatown, you would think, but no, it was like there was space. And there's a scene, and it's done so well, where the kid's 9. He's from Los Angeles. He's out in Chinatown in New York with his uncle, and his uncle's not a dad. He's an uncle. and he loses the kid outside in the city. Kid doesn't have a phone. And it's so good. And it's not that it's like 30 seconds. Maybe it's 1 minute. And it's just so well done. It's so well done. That's a little bit of a spoiler, but go see it. Come on, come on. That's what it's called. And it's in black and white. And then there's another great movie. It's great. It's a great movie. It's not a perfect movie. And it's called Ritual of Fire. And it's shot on Super 16 millimeter film. And it's about three little motorcycle dirt bike bandits who need to get a speckled egg, like an egg with the dots on it. That's what they do in the whole movie. It is incredible. The adventure that they go on with their little dirt bikes. They're all it's kind of like takes place now, but it's like as if they're Gen X kids because they have dirt bikes and they're in Wyoming. And it's just so cool. Ritual of Fire. Go see it. It's on, or pay for it. Buy it. The filmmaker needs your money. On streamers. So those are some of my favorites. Rachel, I have recently moved to a new home and a new part of the country. I was inspired by your solution to being kept out of your neighborhood during the fires. This is why we go on adventures. Do you have any advice on exploring and getting to know a new place? Oh, man. Gosh, do you have a motorcycle or a dirt bike? I can't recommend those. I mean, they're expensive, but and they're only getting more expensive with these tariffs. But those electric dirt bikes or like a Super 73 or something like that. But the electric dirt bikes with a lot of torque are really good. The like Surons and those things. But let's say you don't have that. Just turn your phone off and familiarize with yourself with new routes to get yourself between where you need to go and where you live. It's just such a fun thing. And you can do it in your car when, not during rush hour, obviously, but like, you go to like 10 places. There's the restaurant, there's your work, there's, I'm saying like from your home, there's like the school, I don't know, the hiking trail, wherever it is. And just try to just blankly navigate by streets, by interest. I mean, you can do it with anything. The best is a motorcycle. On foot's kind of great, but that takes the most amount of time. Bicycle's good if it's a flat place. Electric bicycle's great. But that's, I know how all these fire roads and all this stuff because my son and I, first of all, hiking them all, but my son and I got those electric dirt bikes and we illegally just would go and ride all those roads to see where they connected to. Like what paved road does this fire road connect to? And when I get to the junction, is there a gate? And can I breach that gate on a bike? Can I breach that gate? Will my Land Cruiser make it up here if I cut the gate? Will my, and I've just been doing that for years and years in Los Angeles. But I love driving. I love motorcycles. I love bicycles. I love wheels. So I recommend that. Like just kind of exploring, getting from A to B, your favorite restaurant, cutting through different neighborhoods. If you have kids, like my son's really into magnet fishing. So we just go to I just search parks in Los Angeles with ponds or lakes. And then we just go. So we go to all these neighborhoods that are like dangerous neighborhoods, such fucking horse shit. They're just not rich neighborhoods, but like, we see, and they all have amazing parks like Inglewood, South Central, Compton. They all have these parks with like big water features in them. And we go and we drag the magnet. We find all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah, if you have kids, playgrounds near me, like when you're getting food, playgrounds near me, and then just kind of wander through, you're kind of probably going to use GPS for that. But yeah, non-GPS orienteering through neighborhoods. And that's what I think. I don't know. But that's a city guy. I'm saying that's you're in a city if you're doing that. If you're in the country, find all the nature stuff that's public property that you can go and explore on foot or on dirt bike or whatever. Shane. Okay, this will be the last one. In your My Addiction video, you talk about podcasts as helpful for many reasons and find yourself making work just to listen to the smartest people on earth. I would remiss not to point out that you are one of those people for me and probably many others. Thank you. Well, that wasn't a question, so I'll do another one. But thank you very much. That's very nice of you to say that. Wow, that's incredible. I would skip mine because they're not long enough. I'm always looking for something that's like an hour. Because if it's 7 minutes, I'm not done with the thing I started. And I got to fiddle through and find another damn thing. So I'm always looking for at least an hour long. Thoughts on turning 50. Is this the best time in your life? And did Chris Burden's studio survive the fires? And is it still on the accomplished list? Die trying. I think I'm going to get the equivalent of Chris Burden's studio somewhere else and I don't know that it survived, but I haven't heard otherwise. And I'm pretty sure it survived. Because he's on my side of the, he's like behind my house. So he's on my side of the Topanga Canyon Boulevard, and at that far north, nothing was burned. They protected us. Firefighters protected us. So, thoughts on turning 50. Is this the best time in your life? It really isn't. No, it's not like turning 40. It's not remotely like turning 40. It's different. 50's different. Because now it's different. Body's not what it is. It doesn't heal the right way. It doesn't get stronger the same. It's not like you're physically not, even at 40, you can physically still be getting stronger and stronger. The Dakar rally winners are in their 40s. There are, how old was, what's his name? The guy, your guy there, your favorite guy, Tom Brady. He's winning Super Bowls in his 40s. Fernando Alonso is, he's racing Formula One at the highest possible level in his 40s. There's no 50-year-olds in Formula One. There's 50-year-olds in the Dakar in the cars, but not on the bikes. So, yeah, I don't know. And it just, the fires, this year has been a shit. It hasn't been a good year. 2025. It just hasn't. Somebody close to me died. I couldn't get to the funeral because of the fires. People are having a lot of trouble here. It's not acknowledged. It's not really public. You're not really seeing it in the culture, but it's there, and it's my people. And that's turning 50. That was turning 50 for me. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I was turning 50 in 2008, it would be different. But 50 in 2025, that's not that good. It wasn't 40. And when I turned 40, I was at the South by Southwest Film Festival with my fucking movie on a marquee, the name of my movie or our movie on a marquee. And I went in with all my friends that flew in from all over the place. I had just driven up from southern Mexico in my F-350. I drove from Mexico to the premiere. That was my 50th. That was my 40th. So, yeah, so far, I'm not impressed, but thank you. Sorry, I shouldn't end on a down note. How about another one? Jeez. What is the easiest way to create a video about a piece of art like a painting or sculpture? I have skills in photography, music, and art, but I struggle with video and editing. I'd really want to learn many simple things. Thank you. The easiest way, get the artists to talk about the thing and get absolute beautiful photography, all the angles, super close up of details, and then as close as you can get, but also fit the entire piece into the frame. And get the artist's opinion and don't let them be fruity. Don't let them be. It's a goddamn picture. It's a sculpture. It ain't saving the world. You're not you're not James Joyce. Get them to be as literal and non-pretentious as humanly possible. Maybe get the story. Maybe get the what was it? You know what? There's a great. I'll give you an example. There's a great podcast. Wes Lang. Is that right? Is that a painter in Los Angeles? Tetragrammaton, which is the Rick Rubin podcast. Tetragrammaton is the old Hebrew word for God. And they're in his studio, and it's not about the art. It's a conversation between those two guys, but there's art kind of lying around. But their conversation is so interesting, and the way he talks about the whole thing is so interesting and non-pretentious. Just try to do that. I think try to do that. Maybe video, maybe the artist with you. Good sound always, harder than you think. And cutaways to the art when it's mentioned, cutaways to the specifics of the art. You do it in two shoots. One shoot, maybe the first shoot is you definitely the first shoot is you talking to the artist. No cut, you just sitting next to each other, both in the frame. And then the second shoot is all of the specifics that the artist mentions. You might mention other pieces. You come back and shoot all that stuff with your shot list and then put it together. Music is spice. Music is not food. Music is spice. How much, or sauce? How much ketchup do you put on your French fries? Do you drown? Is it as much French fries as there is ketchup? No. There's a little bit, for some people, there's the right amount of ketchup for the right amount of fries. Music is sauce and spice. It's not the main dish. So just remember that before you just drown your piece in music. You know, watch those Lynch films. It's not music. It's weird sound design. It's more than one way to make a movie. Scorsese would disagree with me. Maybe Wes Anderson would, but they're the two greatest of all time at it. And Kubrick, of course. Okay, guys, have a great weekend. I hope I didn't bum you out. Everything's great. Everything's fine. And yeah, have a good weekend. Thank you. Thank you for watching.